What do a tank engine and the human body have in common? Well, not very much. But if you're not quite right, and you don't know why, your doctor may recommend testing the fluid that's being pumped around your body. And exactly the same is true of an engine. So Duncan, our workshop manager, is going to explain how testing the engine oil from our tanks is helping keep them fit and healthy, and what we can learn from analysing it.
Oil is the lifeblood of an engine, and that's why here at the Tank Museum we carry out oil health monitoring to maintain our running fleets.
Nearly there, so probably another 15 litres, I reckon.
Have you checked the inspection pit, see if there's any in there?
Not yet. Not yet.
Today, the Tank Museum workshop team are looking at this 59-year-old Centurion tank. It's a relatively recent addition to the Tank Museum's running collection, having been donated by the Swiss Army, where Centurions served between 1955 and 1991. Since arriving here, it's taken part in various displays, including Tankfest. As a part of a scheduled health check, the team are taking it for a quick spin to warm it up prior to undertaking its oil health monitoring test. As the vehicle has been stationary for a while, it's important to get the oil circulating around the engine before any testing.
So oil health monitoring, we purchase a kit from Anglo-American Oils, costs about £25, and it contains everything we need to carry out the test, the little bottle, suction tube and the envelope to send it off.
Richard and Gary show us how it's done.
Here we are on the scent. We're now going to lift the decks, take an oil sample and fill up this pot roughly nearly to the top, and then we'll send it away and get a report on the condition of the oil.
So now we've got our oil sample, we will fill in this form with vehicle details, dates, mileage, etc. And then it will be sent off to OCLS, where we will wait the results.
It's oil, this thick, sticky, water-repellent liquid that explains why the Royal Tank Regiment has historically worn black overalls. For similar reasons, our workshop team wear black too, because working with oil can be a little messy. Anyway, while we're waiting, we might as well remind ourselves just how important oil is to the functioning of a tank engine.
More in? Yeah. More?
It helps keep it lubricated. It does have a cooling property. It also stops the wear and tear, because remember we've got metal parts moving against one another. So the oil helps create a film to protect it from wearing itself out.
In basic terms, a car engine and a tank engine are pretty similar. In fact, anyone with good taste in classic cars will recognise this sectioned engine from a CVRT Scorpion is identical to that used in an E-Type Jaguar.
So in this particular engine, which is a nice straight 6, we have the filler cap up here. So you pour your engine oil in here for it to end up right down in the sump here. So when at home you've just topped up your car and you instantly pull the dipstick back out and going, I've not put enough in, it's because you've got to give it time to get all the way down to here to make a difference to your dipstick. That's why people overfill their car engines.
Once the oil is in, it has to be continually circulated to do its job.
This tube here is an oil pump. This actually pumps the oil around the engine, but due to the quantity of the oil, we have the bottom of our crankshaft here, which allows the bottom of the pistons to dip into it and would splash all of this area with oil, keeping the bearings lubricated. The pump allows the oil to be pumped up to the top of the gallery with the valves in up here, which makes sure that all the valves are coated in oil because they're going around at quite a rate of knots. Hopefully we don't see any oil in the top of the pistons here, because the piston ring should have successfully scraped most of the oil away, so it should remain relatively dry in here. And then from that, there are little holes here all the way in the castings which let the oil drain back down to the bottom of the sump, and then the pump brings it back up again and it becomes a reciprocal process.
So, the main purpose of engine oil is to reduce friction and wear of the metal parts moving against each other inside the engine as it runs. But is there a special tank oil?
No, so luckily tanks run on the same kind of oil that you do in your car.
But not all oil is the same.
So we can have it in its mineral grade when it's a straight oil, or we can start going into semi-synthetic and fully synthetic, which have blends of synthetic chemicals in it in order to give the oil different properties. Oil comes in different grades, and they're set by the Society of Automobile Engineers, SAE, and it goes from 0 to 50. So when you see an oil that says 10W30, that is a blend of 2 SAE oils, so it's SAE 10 and SAE 30. And basically it means that the SAE 10 is really runny, SAE 30 is a bit thicker. By putting the two together, you have an oil that will deal with the low temperatures when you start an engine and provide lubrication. And then as it gets warmer, the thicker oil will continue providing that lubrication.
Still with us? Good. Before we get on to our test results, we wanted to ask how the team knows which oil to use in which tank.
What makes good oil for an engine? It depends on the age of the engine. We have to understand that the newer semi-synthetic and fully synthetic oils are a relatively new creation, as in the last 20-30 years. So when we're looking at our older fleet, we tend to run on straight SEA number, and we get that information directly from the handbook that supports that vehicle. Luckily enough, our archives team have sourced handbooks to go with just about every vehicle we have, so we can actually cross-refer to the genuine oil that needs to go back in. Later military vehicles tend to run on an oil called OMD 90, which is oil mineral detergent 90, which I say is a 1030 blend, and we tend to use that in the later versions because that's what the manual calls for.
OMD 90 is a military specification heavy-duty engine oil. It's non-synthetic and includes detergent additives to keep the engine clean and prevent deposits building up. Let's look at some of the oils we have and what we use them for.
So this one is our SAE 30, which we fit in most of our tanks. They certainly cover the older vehicles that we have, sort of from the 50s backwards. Kindly sponsored by Morris Oils, thank you very much. This one is OEP 220, which is oil extreme pressure, so we use this in gearbox and transmissions. We then have a specialist oil that we use in the German fleet, so the Bergpanzer and the Leopards. And then finally on this end we have a 1540 that we use in the engines that have any turbos attached to it, because it withstands the extra heat. It's quite a semi-synthetic oil. And the problem we have is when you turn your engine off, the oil that's trapped around the turbo gets boiled away and therefore degrades the life. So this is designed to withstand that mistreatment of the oil and last a long time.
How much oil does a tank need? And how much does it cost?
So when we're looking at it, one of these barrels holds 210 litres. Our average main battle tank holds 70 litres, so we get roughly 3 main battle tanks out of one of these. The oil costing anywhere up to £500 or more per drum makes it a costly experience to change the oil.
And from time to time, the oil in every vehicle needs to be changed. But why?
Why do we need to change the engine oil? So, as we explained at the start of this video, the oil is going around the engine, being pumped around, and is in contact with most surfaces. It's also getting very hot. It's getting contaminated with extra fuel that pumps into the cylinders. It also takes away all the carbon deposits that are being built up. So over a period of time, this oil will slowly build up with particles of engine. If there's bearings breaking down, it fills with particles of carbon and fuel. This all degrades the quality of the oil. And if you leave it degrade too long, you'll actually start damaging your engine. Too much fuel content in your oil will dry the engine out and actually cause your pistons to wear out, and it would wear your bearings out. So it's quite important to change your oil when the manufacturers say so.
And that's why testing the oil can tell us so much about the general condition and health of the engine and its components, just like a blood test.
Most heavy-duty machines require an oil change at 500 hours. Our machines run less than 4 miles a year. So if I did it with the 52 vehicles that we look after, that would be 3,000 litres of oil a year. But because we do oil health monitoring, I get away with less than 1,000 litres a year.
So as well as learning about the state of the engine, conducting these tests also means we can be far more economical and less wasteful in our usage of this expensive resource. Despite this, tank engines have a habit of leaking oil, and drip trays are everywhere, though these contribute to that pleasing oily aroma around the tank museum. It's a few days later and the results have arrived in the post. Give it to me straight, Doc. How bad is it?
To be honest, it's not good.
The results are supplied with a tri-vector plot that interprets the results at a glance and describes mechanical wear, contamination and chemistry using a traffic light system. And in the case of this Centurion, things are looking a little less than ideal.
So looking at the results, we have high lead levels, which we have to understand is either from the fuel or whether the fuel tanks are lead lined, which we suffer with in a lot of our vehicles. We also have high sodium levels, which would normally indicate antifreeze getting into the oil. But no, we're on the south coast. We have quite a high salt in the area with sodium. So we would check that again in the next sample to see if the figure's grown. The one of concern in here is the high level of copper, which normally means a bearing is breaking down.
The Centurion's Meteor engine has 7 main bearings in the crankshaft alone, so identifying if one or more are worn would be a major undertaking at this stage.
So in this case, we'll change the engine oil, we'll change the filters, which has set everything back to 0, and then we'll re-monitor this time next year once we've got the season out of the way and a few miles under the belt with the oil.
It's nearly there, so probably another 15 litres, I reckon.
But not all results come back quite so grim. Back in June, Tiger 131's oils were tested ahead of its run out at Tankfest. The results show sign of wear, as you'd expect from an 80-year-old engine, but following its recent engine overhaul, it looks in good health. And things have actually improved since its previous test in March prior to Tiger Day. So, that's what the human body and the tank engine have in common. And now you know why oil health monitoring is helping us preserve our engines and work more efficiently and sustainably. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to support our work, why not become a supporter? The links are in the description below.